Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Golden Age of Gaming. Today we're going to be on the topic of publishing companies and why they are absolutely terrible and why they have been consistently trashed these past few years. But before we delve into that absolutely depressing topic, let's talk about something real quick that just happened as of today. Tom Holland is back in the MCU and is still going to be Spider-Man. Let's all be happy about that, because that's the only good thing that's gonna be said in this video. Joining me today, as always, is TJ.
What up, gamers?
Hey, there you go. He does it again. And our little guest star this time around is our good friend Tyler.
Hiya.
And as previously stated, we are going to be talking about publishers and why they have been so terrible and have terrible anti-consumer business practices, and why games nowadays are not only feel rushed, but the content that we all feel should be part of the full game when you buy it ends up being locked behind a bunch of paywalls. The publishers that we're going to be talking about for the most part today are Activision. TJ, do you want to say the other one?
Electronic Arts.
Yeah. And Tyler, do you want to say the last one?
Yes. Bethesda.
It's Bethesda. So these three...
Our once good boy.
Yeah, he was the chosen one. It's very
Tragic.
sad. So why don't we just jump into the topic right now? We'll jump into EA first. We'll do this whole thing. So EA affects me and TJ a lot because of certain things that have happened. EA has killed many studios. One of them being one of my favorite studios, strictly because they made one of my all-time favorite horror games that we'll be covering in October, the Dead Space series, and more primarily Dead Space 2. And TJ over here, why are you annoyed at them?
Oh man, my boys at BioWare, they're getting screwed. They made Mass Effect, great. They made Knights of the Old Republic. That was before EA.
Yep.
So they were doing pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But now things aren't looking too good.
Yeah, a certain game called Anthem being completely just...
The best game ever.
Yeah, it's the best looter shooter. That's
It's
right. We
the
talked
best
about it.
looter
Right.
shooter.
Yes.
Come
on.
Step aside, Borderlands, Destiny,
Okay.
Division. Step
Okay,
aside,
relax.
Anthem is here.
Yeah, Anthem is the best. So a little bit of backstory on what happened, and the reason why I just can't stand EA is because Visceral Games, after Dead Space 1 and 2 saw a lot of success, they wanted to take Dead Space to new heights that literally shouldn't have been a thing for a survival horror game. They wanted to make movies and comic books. The movies were made, they were animated, absolutely terrible. They weren't good at all. The comic books I haven't even read. So, I would assume that they're just all right, because, obviously they didn't generate enough buzz to make another Dead Space game. So, or keep Visceral in charge, or even alive for that matter. So after the failure that was Dead Space 3, because that game had something that is unfortunately relatively common nowadays. Not relatively, it is common. It's more common than a full game at this point. It's microtransactions. You had microtransactions in a single-player survival horror game, and it ruined it. And then, of course, one of the CEOs of Activision, or not Activision, EA, said that if Dead Space 3 doesn't sell 5 million copies, then the franchise is done. Needless to say, it didn't survive at all. It did not generate 5 million copies, and the series as we know it is kaput. And that pisses me off a lot, because I love Dead Space 2. Dead Space 2 is a great game. I've streamed it so many times. TJ watched the entire playthrough.
Great.
So many awesome, memorable moments in the series. We've quote the protagonist of the series quite a few times, with a lot of great lines like "Stick around, I'm full of bad ideas" and stuff like that. So EA moves on with Visceral, and Visceral is in charge of making a standalone single-player Star Wars game. Does that sound familiar to you guys?
I still remember the trailer like it was yesterday.
Yep, the one that was at, was it E3?
E3.
Yep, it was basically, the code name for the game was Ragtag, and it was, if any of you remember the footage from E3, I don't know which E3 it was, but it was probably 2016 or 2015, because Visceral was shut down in 2017. But, it looked promising. We didn't really see a lot, so it was just more of like a kind of showcase of what the game possibly will look like. Little did any of us know, there was actually a lot of problems with the game in terms of its development cycle. Visceral Games was a very small studio, had about 30 people working, so because they're relatively small. They made Dead Space. It was, a game series that was really good up until the third one, but it just wasn't Resident Evil fame, or Silent Hill, or like any other survival horror games made by bigger companies like that. So they had a small team to work on these games. EA made them split in half for the Star Wars development, which I don't understand why you would do that. Why you would squander your Star Wars license and only have like 15 people work on a single-player Star Wars game, and have the other 15 work on DLC for Battlefield Hardline, a game that was dead before it even came out. Nobody played that beta. That beta had like the same 4 people when I started playing it, way back in 2014, 15, whenever that game came out. Turns out that Visceral started just trashing EA. They both had different ways, different directions they wanted to take the Star Wars series, and I can only imagine where EA wanted to take it, because we've already seen where they want to so far.
Oh, good old Battlefront 2.
Which, to be fair, is a lot better now.
Yeah, it only took them an extra
over
a year, 2
years,
something like that.
And then, of course, the disappointment that was the original EA Star Wars Battlefront.
We don't talk about that one.
That had 2 guns, 2 maps, and 3 heroes.
Well, 3 that you never got to play, because they spawned in certain locations that people camped.
Yep. And eventually it came to the point where in May of 2016, Visceral started having people, laid off. And then in 2017, EA decided to just cut the cord, kill Visceral. And, this is 2019, we got it really, so about a year or 2 later, they suddenly decide that, now's the time for a single-player Star Wars game, and they decide to give it to another studio, and now it's being, marketed as Jedi Fallen Order. It is the biggest, I can't stand it. It's so scummy. You're basically, you killed a studio, you took the corpse, you threw it to another studio, and they're making a game off of it. I can't stand that. EA is, and it's won worst company, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's won it worst company in America 2 years in a row.
Yeah, 2 years in a row.
They're going for a third.
They're going for a third, but there's a lot of people trying to run for that title.
We got some competition this time.
Yeah, it's it's definitely an award that everyone should definitely aim for.
100%.
You don't care about games or the people you're making them for. Luckily, Visceral Games, they weren't entirely just done. A lot of them did move to Sledgehammer Games, and they were in charge of making the zombies of World War II, or Call of Duty World War II, which definitely shows, because the zombies in Call of Duty World War II were very creepy looking. They pretty much all looked...
different environment altogether, the zombies in World War II.
Yeah, it was...
With the setting and the time period, and just the noises you hear and the sounds when you're playing some of those maps, it's like...
Yep,
you're really immersed in the zombies maps, and I like it. I like World War II for that reason.
Yeah, I completely agree, because one thing Visceral has nailed time and time again, like even just yesterday, I beat the game Dead Space 2 3 different times to try and 100% the achievements, and there are still a few jump scares and things that I know are there and still get me every time. They are so good at making like effective environments. So I'm glad that they were doing that. But that also bleeds into our Activision thing, which we'll get to later, because now Sledgehammer Games isn't even making another Call of Duty anymore.
Oh boy.
So, it's like Visceral can't catch a goddamn break. But aside from Visceral being completely butchered by EA, there's another studio that happens to be one of TJ's favorites, BioWare Studios, who, while they aren't dead...
It's not looking good.
No, it's not. It's not looking good at all. Because EA only gave Visceral 2 strikes, and it was Dead Space 3 and Battlefield Hardline. And then that's basically... Oh, and then the third strike being Star Wars, and the fact that EA wanted to take Star Wars in a different direction, and so did Visceral, and of course infighting caused them to basically, the straw that broke the camel's back killed Visceral. But if that is anything to go off of, BioWare has 2 strikes. And I'll let TJ get into that.
Ooh, Mass Effect Andromeda. I like it. Not a lot of people like it. Didn't do too good. Anthem, best game ever made, but a lot of people are blind, so they just didn't buy it. Nobody's playing it. Everyone kind of gave up on it. All the DLCs, I don't know if it's canceled. The roadmap's done.
Oh yeah, the roadmap was completely obliterated.
Big rip.
That was actually just.
They had an update not too long ago too.
Yeah,
and
they
still
finally
didn't
did the Cataclysm event.
Because I remember seeing an article because it's supposed to be they market it as a looter shooter.
Yeah,
but there's only
there's no loot. It's the same guns reskinned with a different
That's exactly
color
my
rarity.
point. And then you look at something like Borderlands, which has bajillions of guns.
So many.
Or even
guns.
Destiny, which is a type of looter shooter.
Yeah.
And Destiny is, when it comes to their loot, it's it's massive.
Yeah, it's a lot better.
I mean, it's not as big as Borderlands and the amount of options you can go there, but, I also categorize Destiny as a different kind of shooter looter because all their loot is instanced to a set.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A set drop.
Yeah, it's not...
And it's just RNG.
Yeah,
which, I mean,
it's a lot more
Borderlands
categorized, really,
Yeah.
than Borderlands, because Borderlands is just absolute mayhem.
Yeah, you
Drops
can equip
everything.
whatever you want in any slot.
Literally just do whatever you want. Just go kill things.
These bosses have their own loot pools of, raid loot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Or if you're playing something like Escalation Protocol, you're getting Escalation Protocol gear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's all just RNG on whether you get that or not.
Mm-hmm. And even Anthem's beta,
it was the full game.
It was literally the full game, and I knew I didn't even like the beta. I didn't want to even touch that.
I thought
that
it
full
was
game.
decent. I know it would be nothing compared to the 2 looter shooters I actually play, Borderlands and Destiny. But I was like, hey, maybe in a few years when they add everything else to the game.
Honestly, if they had more loot and you can make builds and have your
you
loot.
can make builds. It's just
yeah,
kind of limited.
You have 2 builds in the game.
Yeah.
Whereas if you had much more loot, because the overall vision of the game, how it looks, I like the way it looks. I like I never finished a campaign. I've only
finished
played
the campaign
the first
and then
half
I
maybe.
stopped.
and that's only because everyone else stopped, and I kind of lost hope along with everyone else.
Yeah.
But what I did play of the story was, only the first half, and I thought the cutscenes were really well done. It was like weird. They all kind of looked wonky in their own little way, but like I felt like that was its charm. Is like I really liked how it was up in their faces. But yeah, like if they just had more loot altogether, and then you could take that loot and then bring it right into your build and like have your own play style, kind of like any other looter shooter does.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Then it would go so much further than where it's gone today, which is
nowhere.
the trash can.
Right into the dirt.
Basically, what you're saying is if the game sat in the oven just a little bit longer, it might have actually been a good game.
If they actually cared.
Yep, which seems to be a common theme with the publishers that we're talking about.
Oh boy.
Because Mass Effect Andromeda was shocking for a lot of people because of how unfinished the game
Pretty
looked.
unfinished.
Angry Joe ripped that game a new one.
Everyone did.
Yeah, and like I can't help but feel bad for the fans of BioWare and BioWare in general, because it's very clear what's happening, because it's already happened with my studio at least. They're being, split apart to work on different things. And games are just unfinished. And just... and like you said, the whole content roadmap that Anthem had just recently was scrapped completely. It was scrapped indefinitely. And the only thing that they had to say about it was basically, we have some new things that we think players will look forward to. But here's the thing, though.
If you don't have players, they can't look forward to anything.
Exactly. I was watching in one of the Inside Gaming videos, and Lawrence said in that video that there were 82 people watching Anthem streams.
Yup.
The people that was, I want to say, just a little bit less than the remake of Legend of Zelda that just came out for the 3DS or whatever. And the funny thing is, you can't stream on the 3DS. So basically, it's people putting like their iPhones up to their 3DSs to show what they're playing, and more people are watching that. More people are watching like almost like early YouTube in terms of like camera quality and all that stuff, more than Anthem.
Poor Anthem.
And it's embarrassing. It's so sad. And in the end, who takes the blame for it? As always,
BioWare.
It's never the actual culprit. It's always the studio, and it's so annoying. And I mean, EA, what did they do anything for Mass Effect? No, you said were all the DLCs canceled for Mass Effect?
Yeah, all the single-player DLC for Mass Effect Andromeda was canceled. But guess what wasn't? Ooh, that multiplayer! The stuff you have the loot boxes for, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh.
Keep adding stuff to pad those.
And aside from Mass Effect and Anthem and Dead Space and Visceral Games in general, they're already butchering another series, Battlefield.
Ooh.
Battlefield 1 is probably one of my favorite FPS shooters. I'm not even gonna lie. I have played that game so many times, and so many awesome things have happened. I mean, the amount of awesome things that have always happened when we play with, like, with Griffin, and it's like you and me, and between, like, sitting on a rock getting pinned down by like 30 other guys, and you're just sitting there with a sniper.
And then I just fly in with a plane and kamikaze. I don't get any
Exactly.
kills, but I try.
But it looks cool. It's visually appealing. And the game goes from, like... And though it had loot boxes, it was only cosmetics. It was only skins. You didn't need them at all. And you earned the currency to get it along the way. It really wasn't that big of a deal at all. Because the game already looked really good, and the guns looked super nice without skins to begin with. Most of the skins actually in that game are trash. because it's like
pretty much
the
everything
only,
except for the legendaries.
Yeah, the
And
black
even
and
then-
gold. Like some of them look really good, but the other
Yeah.
ones, it's like why? What? Like you didn't need them. You could go through that entire game without spending a dime. I, needless to say, was trying to hunt for one skin, so I did spend quite a few bucks on that.
Fool.
But in the end, I got it. I got it.
You got
I got it
it.
from a common. That's why I was super, because it was.
You guys hearing this? He's part of the problem.
You know, hey, that's not true. All right, we've all been enticed a little bit in terms of microtransactions. I mean, come on, let's be real here. I spent a decent amount of money on
used to play
microtransactions
Fortnite.
total. Yeah, Tyler here used to
poor
play
Tyler.
Fortnite, but Battlefield 5. The reason why I brought that up is because apparently their content map is also all over the place. There were apparently supposed to be things that should have been out at this point that aren't at all. Game Informer, the article, or the issue that covered Modern Warfare that you have, that had a whole like section of the article that said, you know, games, where are they now? Games as a service or whatever. Battlefield 5 has like an F. No, it was a D. It was one grade higher than Anthem, and like it's because, you know, there's a lot of miscommunication. People from the art department of DICE are like, guys, stop advertising things because we don't have anything. There's nothing we have. We need to stop telling people we have things because it's not working. Stop. We can't give them. You can't just go out with the marketing department. Can't just go coming in March. Battlefield 5 stuff. And then the art department.
Get excited.
Yeah, the art department's just sitting here like, excuse me? Like, we are? March? We're getting stuff in March? Okay, that's not a thing. Can we stop that, please? Guys, stop. Stop it. Stop. So EA is just a friggin' mess right now.
Ever since the launch of Battlefield 5, that game's been just
I
not
know.
good. Even like the training ground or something wasn't in the game at launch.
Yeah, and even the beta wasn't even. I mean, betas are betas, but the Battlefield 1 beta I had was super good. Like, I mean, yes, it was the game, really, but everyone
As
knew
always.
that. But that's you play Battlefield's Conquest. That's like the only mode you play, because it's like it's super fun, and literally anything can happen in any of them. You can either like what we do, depending on the map. We have certain play styles for Battlefield 1 at least, where it's like
just sit on one point and hold it for the entire match.
yeah, because it's the most populated point, and we'll set up like dynamite and like watch our kill feed just blow up if we have a bunch of squads running at us. Like, it's super fun. And then Battlefield 5 has Battle Royale.
Right, I kind of forgot that was a thing.
I forgot that was a thing too, and nobody's talked about it ever. Like,
Nobody's playing it.
yeah,
I didn't know that was a thing at all.
yeah, it's called like Firestorm or something like that. So like the barrier's a giant firestorm.
Wow.
The thing that
Yeah.
baffles my mind, especially with EA, is they've come out since all of this stuff has happened, and they try to address these things where
They
I wish they would just
try.
keep their mouths shut because it's probably smarter for them.
Yeah, considering they
Surprise
got the
mechanics.
most downvoted
Oh my
Reddit
God.
comment. Surprise mechanics.
Surprise
and
mechanics.
they come out and say like, "Oh, we don't know what we're doing wrong." It's like,
Yep, and
I mean, they're making money. How could they be doing anything wrong?
exactly, and that's
Exactly.
their viewpoint, and that's how most of these publishers' viewpoints are, and that's why for the future it's not looking good.
no,
Because as
it's-
long as they're making money, they're going to keep doing the same business practices that
Yeah.
Yeah.
are going to bring in that cash.
Yep, but that's why we need Parliament to crack down on these loot boxes that they're
That'll
currently
be
trying to do right now.
The first step.
That'll be
I
the
know
first step.
GTA's casino update was like banned in a lot of.
Well, that's just because it
things
was
at first.
That's just because it was like actual gambling. But
Yeah.
to be fair, you don't really need to spend any real money
Oh
on
no,
it.
not at all. I
Like-
mean, I have friends and coworkers that play. That update now. But
Yeah.
I remember at first when it first came out, there was a lot of.
Like controversy around it. Yeah.
Very suspicious activity, and the
Yeah, but I
real
mean,
life
to be
gambling
fair,
thing.
it is a rated M game, so
Yeah.
like, it is specifically meant for.
I mean, the game's got strip clubs and
Yeah, it's got strip clubs.
it's
It's got
GTA.
hookers.
Gangs.
It's you got literally everything So if your kids are playing the game,
That's all. That's just the parenting thing.
Exactly.
At that point.
Like, you're not a bad parent if you're letting your kid play GTA.
I still can't go to GameStop without getting carded for a rated M game.
I don't even remember the last time I was carded.
The last time I was Sekiro.
Well, so
maybe?
I usually buy
that makes
digital
sense.
games now. I kind of switch over
That
to
too.
digital. And so my most recent GameStop purchase was Borderlands 3 because I had got the collector's edition.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get that digital. I got it physical.
And you were carded?
And so I was carded for that.
Oh, I wasn't.
Yeah, that's right. You weren't.
Yeah. Well, I think the facial hair might help.
True.
You don't question it.
Yeah, that's fair. Well,
But yeah, I still get carded anytime I go to the fucking gas station. So it's like, it's it's whatever. I'm over it.
so, since, while EA is slowly, well, not slowly, it just...
Rapidly.
It's basically been a dumpster fire this whole time. It's just the flames are getting higher.
As
While
Johnny
that's...
Cash would say.
Yeah, I was going to say, as Johnny Cash would say. And while that's going on, and they're striving to become the worst company again, they have a contender. They have a pretty big contender. Good
a
old
new challenger approaches.
Activision.
Activision, the guys who nearly destroyed Destiny, and luckily Bungie somehow, some way, managed to keep Destiny
They did it.
and left, and just brought Destiny with them, and I'm so happy they did it. The unfortunate thing is, not every developer is able to do that. I mean, Bungie, I'm sure, probably has a decent amount of cash from the Halos they've made and Destiny and all that stuff. So, like, I don't know, they're probably financially stable enough to do that.
Well, they must be since they did it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, it could have also been like a desperation act, kind of like.
I mean, I'm sure they got a cut of the microtransactions
Yeah.
when Activision was
And
in
now-
place.
now they get
now that
100%
they're
of
gone,
Now-
they're getting
yeah.
everything.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, cause,
And it's less chaotic than it was, or hopefully will be. I guess we'll see when
I
Shadowkeep
guess
releases.
we'll see soon.
yeah, we'll see this upcoming Tuesday. That,
Oh boy.
and
Can't
I'll see
wait.
it when I get out of work.
I'll see you when I get out of school.
And Tyler will see it.
At 1 p.m. when it releases. 'Cause
Yeah.
I had the day off.
Must be
Yeah,
nice.
it must be nice. It's okay. But unfortunately, like we said, not every studio can do that. And currently, Call of Duty is just stuck in this loop of just disappointment. I mean, when Bungie split from Activision, I remember saying that I'm happy for Bungie because that means
Bungie was
Destiny.
popping bottles of champagne
Yeah, like
when they released the news.
Exactly.
They threw a party.
I don't blame them. They're officially away from all the things that brought them to where they were now, the bad decisions and all that
The
stuff.
first thing Bungie did, being released from Activision's hold on the game was, they delayed the game by a month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If Activision was still in play,
You would believe it.
we would have got
gone
this. We
Yeah.
would have got this DLC a month ago.
Out. Yeah.
Yep, and we would have had that Jotun exploit that they said they
Yeah.
found and they needed to fix, and
Would have had to compete more with Borderlands 3.
yeah, which would have sucked for the three of us because
Yep.
we
Yep.
played that game and still play that game a lot. But I when that split came out, I was happy for Bungie because Destiny's probably one of my all-time favorite games. The whole lore, everything, the series behind it. I'm sure there's enough to talk about in Destiny to make a whole another Golden Age of Gaming video on it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
By far. And I know some people who probably watch these videos are like, did he seriously just say that about Destiny? Yes, I did. And I'm standing by it, damn it. Okay? I am happy with my decision. But the point is, though I'm happy for them,
Dead game.
I know.
Dead
If I
game
hear
lol.
one more person say Destiny is a dead game, I remember when Anthem, like, the trailers came out, everyone was like, oh, this will be the game to kill Destiny.
Destiny killer.
Oh, look at them
Destiny
now.
doesn't die.
No, Destiny is like a cockroach, but in a good way somehow.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. That's fair. There were a lot of bad things in Destiny like 1, and a lot of bad things in the base
vanilla
of Destiny 2.
Destiny 2.
Yeah, but because Activision lost one of their second biggest license, that means they only have one license left, and by default, it's Call of Duty, which means that now that they lost one moneymaker, they're gonna add even more paywalls and ridiculous, stupid business practices that make Call of Duty. It's gonna make Call of Duty borderline unplayable. Like, it's ridiculous.
Can't wait.
And the thing is, in terms of Modern Warfare, everyone who isn't a PlayStation player does have to wait, at least for a portion of the game, for a literal year.
Yep.
And the next Call of Duty's probably either going to be 2 weeks away from that, or probably going to be done.
Done, quotation marks.
Oh yeah, that's true. But so Tyler, go into what you were looking up and all that stuff about Activision.
Activision. Where to start with Activision? So for me, I am a really big fan of zombies, and more specifically, Treyarch zombies.
Yeah.
Is where my loyalty lies. And it's sad to say, but Activision's hold on Black Ops 4 Zombies is like, so the thing is that they were competing with Red Dead Redemption.
Yep.
At the time.
Mm-hmm.
They came out and announced before Black Ops was even came out. They announced that it would be coming out a month earlier, and it was October.
I want to say it was like October 12th.
Yeah, because Red Dead Redemption, and they wanted to get that out before Red Dead Redemption.
Dumb move, but yeah.
Dumb move. I think that they would have had just fine if going up against if they launched the same time.
Yeah.
I don't think Red Dead Redemption, because it's a story player game, and then Call of Duty, as much as it is, everyone's gonna buy a Call of Duty game.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Even Modern Warfare, with the news that we have of this whole third of the game being portioned out for a month.
Yeah.
People are still gonna buy it. I remember, one of you guys said that you went to GameStop and the guy was a PS4 owner, and he's gonna get it.
Yep.
But the game was super rushed. The whole quality of the game. I mean, the Chaos storyline. So I'm specifically going to talk about zombies. The Chaos storyline was okay. It wasn't anything too great. We got Mob of the Dead at launch, which was a great map.
Oh, that map.
Good
is
Easter egg.
Awesome. Mm-hmm.
Very complex storylines. Confusing. Very fucking confusing.
Yeah,
but other than that, it was just very glitchy at launch. Everyone who tried to do the Easter eggs, they would blue screen.
Yep.
Especially on PS4. Well, everyone had the PS4 because there was a week exclusivity for PS4. All the maps.
Yep. That's true.
Everything at launch would just crash without anything. And it's, I don't know, it's sad. It's Classified, which was one of the maps. It was a remaster of 5 and Black Ops 4. The Easter egg, this wasn't found till like 2 months later. There was an Easter egg. No one knew if there was an Easter egg for this map or not.
Right.
And 2 months later, they found there was an Easter egg ending. And all you had to do was get to around 150
Yeah.
to unlock the cutscene.
Only 150.
That's it.
But you couldn't get past round fucking 50. And it's crazy. And now that we know that Sledgehammer is out for this next game, so it's going right back to Treyarch
Even less time.
for Modern Warfare, and it's just, it's sad because it's going to be I'm hoping it's not going to be another Rush game, but at the same time, you know, they're cutting their development time by at least 2 years, right?
I mean, based on what they
A
were
year and a
saying, the report that came out from Kotaku, I believe, was the source. They said something along the lines of the Call of Duty that Sledgehammer was making was quote unquote a mess because of a lot of studio infighting. And basically, Activision made the executive decision to just say, you know what, Sledgehammer and Raven Software, who both of them helped with... I don't know if Raven helped with Modern Warfare 3. I know Sledgehammer Games helped with Modern Warfare 3. Raven Software helped with Ghosts. And they also did a lot of the last-gen iterations of games. So when Advanced Warfare was a thing, Raven Software was the one that ran the Xbox 360 version, which I owned at the time because I didn't have an Xbox One. And they also did the comically bad Black Ops 3 on the 360 as well, but they eventually put Sledgehammer Games, who helped Modern Warfare 3, made Advanced Warfare, and Modern Warfare 2, combined them together to make, or not Modern Warfare 2, sorry, World War 2. I want to say they both helped make World War 2, and then they were making the COD 2020 because we didn't know exactly what it was. But now,
oh yeah, because Sledgehammer is going to be helping Treyarch with this Nexus,
Treyarch,
right? Yeah.
Sledgehammer Games and Raven Software are no longer making their own standalone COD. They are specifically doing the campaign of Treyarch's
which is good.
next
More
Call of Duty.
people on a development team.
Yes,
especially
it is,
for this game that's going to be coming out so much sooner.
Yeah, theoretically, if on paper, which a lot of games on paper do sound really good, and then they come out. For example, Anthem, Dead Space 3, Battlefield 5, Battlefront 2, Battlefront. The list goes on and on and on. Halo 5, like we talked about in the previous episode.
Halo 5.
How it sounded so good on paper, and then something happened between paper to screen, like we said, and it just falls
Same thing
flat.
with Black Ops 3's Zombies story mode.
Oh, yeah,
I was
yep.
bringing up the
Yep.
Nightmares mode. That's what it was called.
I always forget that.
The trailer
Yeah.
was the coolest fucking thing.
Yep, it was.
And it was so hyped, and then we got it, and it was like, I'd rather play Dead Ops Arcade.
Exactly. Like, yeah, this is all cool.
It was all
and
just reskin from the campaign.
Yep.
And it was badly voiced over.
Yep.
And just, very shittily done.
Yeah, there was only one voice you hear in that entire story, and it's someone narrating the campaign missions from Black Ops 3, and instead of soldiers with guns, it was just zombies. That's it.
Just
it
rip
was
textures, put them in the campaign.
It was so basic. And bringing back the topic of Black Ops 4 zombies, with it feeling rushed, is because the Chaos story, which is the new story that was introduced in Black Ops 4, it's a lot more like based on Greek mythology and all that stuff with Odin and
Zeus.
Or no, Zeus is Greek, Odin is Nordic or
Yes.
Viking or Nord. I think it is Nordic.
It's-
Norse.
they-
Yes, that's the word.
I know Treyarch doesn't like to, say it's any one particular mythology. It's kind of like a blend.
Yeah, because
And
I
it's
know
like their
Ra
own.
was
It's
one
like
of
their
them,
own
too.
take on like a mixture of all these different mythologies, and they bring it together in this one story.
Yeah.
And the Chaos story, it's good start. They
Yeah,
finished it off well enough where I'm excited if they continue it in Black Ops 5.
I agree. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to see what they can do with it now that Ether's over. It sounds like
Quote,
that they're
unquote.
done with Ether.
As far
At
as we
least
know right now.
as far as Primus, Ultimus, and Victus, their storyline is over. Whether they continue to do stuff with the Ether,
kids.
Sam and Eddie, which if any of you have seen the ending of the last map, Ether,
Tagger Toten.
Yeah, Tagger Toten. Eddie and Sam are still alive,
Yes.
I think, unless they're just endlessly walking the void.
Honestly, all I know is it's probably going to be some other. If Black Ops 5 isn't doing that good, Activision's going to be like, quick, come up with another timeline so we can have all the characters
Exactly.
back so people can buy it. That's exactly what it's going to be. But the cutscenes for the Chaos story are fully rendered. CGI, like, it's the same.
Like how zombies used to be.
Yeah, and
Cut back
we
to
had
Black
that-
Ops
we-
3,
we had that
every
for Blood of
map
the Dead,
was
too.
CGI. Well, the intro to Eisen was the only one that was,
it was
the
the
comic
only
book
one.
styled
But
map that we have
yeah.
been seeing for the end of the DLC season for Black Ops 4.
Yeah, but it wasn't like annoying at all because it was literally one time. Like, it looked fine.
Yeah.
We didn't need.
And it was just an intro. It was,
Yeah, it was
you know,
literally
them
just-
driving, and then the robot slams down, boom, you're in the map.
and that was it. Yeah,
And then, you know, you do the Easter egg, and then you find out, oh,
And
Dempsey's
that
got to
cutscene
go
was
kill.
CGI too.
Yeah.
That cutscene was fully rendered and prepared. Everything that was the original characters from World
And
at
that was
War.
for a map that didn't even have an Easter egg. Well, Easter egg, so to speak. It didn't have, like, a massive, you know...
What, Der Eisendrache?
No, the Giant. You know, it had its opening cutscene, but, you know...
Yes. Yeah, but it was...
You just
Yeah.
had to run around the map, shoot a few things, and then you got an
the-
Annihilator, and that
Yeah.
counted as the Easter egg, because they were tracking the Easter egg for the Super Easter egg at the end of all
Yeah,
this
they were.
stuff.
Yeah.
So that was the Easter egg, so to speak, but there was no big, like, Easter egg ending or storyline implications,
Exactly.
and it still had a CGI.
Yep.
The only point of that was to introduce the story that, you know, Richtofen was the first one to kill his 1.0 self.
Yep, exactly that. And it was a super easy story to follow, too. I thought I had it, like, I was fully on board 100%. I mean, hell, even you were playing it, and
Yeah.
it seemed very easy to follow. It's like, alright, we gotta go find the World at War versions of these guys, and once we get them,
Yep.
we win. And Revelations, if it just ended there, and then they just made Blood of the Dead in Black Ops 4 as just a prequel in between Gorod, Krovi, and
Yep.
Revelations, and just left it at that, which very clearly seems like what they wanted to do. Because obviously the CGI cutscenes are a lot more expensive
Budget
to make, budget-wise, than the comic book ones. And
Yep.
every single solitary map, aside from the fact that it's a reskin of Call of Duty maps that we've seen for years now, aside from that, the cutscenes aren't even really cutscenes anymore. It just looks like strips of a comic book.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets super, super annoying when you really want to see, like,
these characters that you've invested your time in for over
Yeah.
10 years now.
yeah, we've been seeing these characters since 2008.
And, you know, this is the end of the Ether storyline, and it's like, it almost feels like, to me, it still doesn't feel like it's over.
No,
it's like,
they didn't even have Malcolm McDowell come back and voice
and
Shadow Man.
that's another thing I wanted to
Man,
mention is
Monty.
they added a lot of things in Black Ops 3 story-wise with, you know, Dr. Monty, the Shadow Man, you know, the
Nexus being,
Apothecans and the
back and all that
servants
stuff,
and
yeah,
you know, all these things. And, you know, it's hyped up to be this huge, great war between the two, and that we need to wipe them all out and,
Yep.
you know, erase everything. And, you know, I guess we kind of did that, but
yeah.
not in game.
Revelations felt like a war.
Revelations,
was-
I enjoyed.
Yeah, because like it was like you're literally seeing these like giant monsters just zoom through like in between, and at the same
yeah.
time you're jumping between different
You
points
could go
of time.
inside the fucking
Exactly.
the Apothecon, and then
Exactly. Like
You
it
know,
feels.
all I saw was Kino.
Listen, man, that was just because we needed you to train for the Easter egg, okay?
Or somebody had to do it.
At least you were stuck in a good map.
Yeah,
like,
you know.
If you were stuck training in like, I don't know, Die Rise or something like that. I know you like Die Rise, Tyler, but
I never played
Great
Dire
map,
Rise.
but it's all right, I guess. But
I
It's a
mean,
map.
I still have until I think Monday the DLC will come out for me. I'm an Xbox player, so I haven't played Call of the Dead yet.
oh yeah,
Or
that's
Tag
right.
or Token.
We haven't. That's right.
So I only know based off of you know, gameplay, and you know, I've seen the ending of the Easter egg because I don't want to. I'm just gonna watch it anyway. I always usually watch it a week earlier because I'm never gonna be able to figure out how to do those fucking Easter egg steps.
Nope.
So
It's too much
I mean, I still go
time.
back and I follow and I do the Easter egg steps once I know them. But yeah,
And with the reskins and the cutscenes being comic strips, it's very clear that Treyarch had a set story in mind, and Blood of the Dead was just a added bonus. And it shows 100% because they put the time in for each DLC.
Well,
for the Chaos
I knew
story.
they were working on Blood of the Dead for a while because,
Well, yeah, because
and
they mentioned it in Black Ops 3 as well.
Black Ops 3,
Yeah.
when Zombies Chronicles came out, everyone's like, where's Mob of the Dead? Where's Mob of the Dead? You say this is supposed to be a list of, your most played. It is like, Mob was probably one of the most popular maps.
Yeah.
And they're like, they didn't come out outright and say it, but they were like, we have our own, plans for Mob. So everyone knew it was going to be back in Black Ops 4.
Exactly.
And so they have been already working on it. And that was the beginning of the game, because even Chaos Story had CGI cutscenes.
Every single one of them, even DLC.
So I think they wasted most of their budget on the Chaos Story. I think they're trying to, rely on Chaos a little too much, hoping that, it would land. And then if not, they have Ether to fall back on.
I mean, I guess, yeah.
That and, them having so many troubles at launch, I'm sure didn't help time-wise. All the stuff they had to fix because they released a month earlier, and all of the, the bug fixes, the crashes.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course...
So I know that set them back with timing-wise.
Yeah. And with Zombies getting all that, all the problems in Zombies, their Battle Royale mode in Black Ops 4 was no better. It basically, Treyarch had a promise, and they said that they weren't going to lock DLC characters and weapons behind any loot boxes, any paywalls, or anything like that. When the game first came out, as glitchy as it was, they had a battle pass system that I really, really liked. It was free. I didn't have to spend a single solitary dime when I played Battle Royale, the Blackout mode, because I was going to earn everything. I finished the season without spending a dime. The only dime I spent was a little camo pack that was for every single gun, not individual guns like they do now. It was for every single gun in the game, and it was for $2. And I thought because the camo looked good, so I put it on all my guns. I was like, yeah, I'll drop $2 if that's the only money I'm spending. And you earned the DLC guns. All the characters that were in the beginning of the game were all character missions. You had to aim for them. So if you saw a person wearing that skin, you knew that it wasn't a paywall like Fortnite or anything like that, where you're just like, oh wow, so you spent like $20 on a skin. No, you earned it. And that was the cool part. Suddenly around July of this year, with the newest update or whatever at the time, that brought out the Call of Duty Days of Summer thing that they've been doing since Modern Warfare Remastered, people were starting to get DLC characters from loot drops, and guns from loot drops. Guns that we've had in Call of Duty before, that were in Black Ops 3.
Camos.
And camos, especially.
Weaponized 115.
Exactly.
Looking at you.
A whole camo pack. And I love how they made them all individual, too. Like, you couldn't even buy, like... Or, no, it was all together. It was all together, yeah. It was all the camos for every gun for, like... It was, like, $5, $10, something like that. Even though we got them for free in Black Ops 3. And then Peacekeeper was a DLC weapon in Black Ops 2. Then returned in Black Ops 3. That was locked behind supply drops, but we were already annoyed about that anyway, because that was just how Black Ops 3 was. And Black Ops 4, no different. It was locked behind supply drops, but the annoying thing was this time around that they added so many new, like, pathetic customization options to loot boxes to expand the loot pool to the point where you're gonna get like 600 weapon charms before you even get one epic or even a blue. It's insulting.
I remember me and you were playing, and you had a streak going. You had opened like
I counted them
70, 80 boxes.
Jeez. It's 80 currently, because I add like the 3 that I opened like like a couple days ago when we were playing. It's 90. I'm at 90 loot boxes opened up. since my last legendary
Oh
gun.
my God.
And it's ridiculous.
Don't worry,
I've
at
earned-
some point you'll get a surprise mechanic in there.
Yeah,
Someday.
good old
Happy.
surprise mechanics. And so Activision is just rushing these games that were once just so high up there in terms of standards. Like Call of Duty was, people liked it. Everyone liked it. When I was like 10 years old, when like Black Ops 1 came out, or hell, when I was 8 years old and World at War was a thing, and I was like, that everyone would talk about World at War, and everyone would talk about Modern Warfare 2, and like how the whole campaign was awesome, and it got people crying and stuff like that because of Ghost and all that stuff, and then Modern Warfare 3 coming out, and it's so good, and none of them had microtransactions, and they were all 100% the game that they were day one, full, had everything. And now with the newest Modern Warfare, Activision decided, and Sony too, because Sony is obviously the one that agreed to this, so they're to blame with it as well. As if console exclusivity for games that are on all platforms wasn't annoying enough. Like Destiny, it was for each DLC, it was like, yeah, we're gonna lock off a map, a ship, an armor set for each character, a strike, and like a couple guns. And then we get them a year later.
And then like an exotic weapon.
Yeah, exactly. The couple guns. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, huh?
Like back in base Destiny 1, 3 exotic weapons.
It was
got
Hawk
locked
Moon, Zen Meteor, and or wasn't Zen Meteor one of them?
In the base game, it was Hawk Moon, Fourth Horseman, and Monte Carlo.
Those two were PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't ever remember.
And then
that.
later on, it was Zen Meteor and Jade Rabbit.
Granted, the only ones I like are out of all of those are Hawk Moon and Jade Rabbit. Those are the only two I like. 'Cause I don't like Monte Carlo.
Still don't have.
Well, Jade Rabbit also had its own exclusivity because of the original story of the Jade Rabbit, and I forget what the original name was.
Fate of All Fools.
The Fate of All Fools, because it was I'm not going to be able to remember the whole story, but basically, a kid was sick, and it was a gun for this kid who was sick. He was hospitalized.
Right.
And he was a really big Destiny / Bungie fan, and so they kind of commemorated that to him.
Oh, that's nice.
Good old Bungie.
But those were really the only exclusives, and then for Black Ops 3, it was like what, a month wait for like map packs and stuff. We had to
For
wait
Black Ops 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Black Ops
then
3 was a month wait,
Black Ops 4 was a week.
and Black Ops 4 was a week.
Modern Warfare, however, is a little bit different, and I'm still like extremely pissed off that this is even a thing, because the Modern Warfare beta just finished like a few days ago. The game comes out now less than a month away, and around 2 days ago, when the State of Play trailer came out for Modern Warfare, they said that there was Spec Ops mode, and it was Survival. Survival was a mode from Modern Warfare 3 that was there at launch, had its own ranking system. You basically sat there, you fought off waves of guys, and you'd unlock achievements, you'd unlock attachments for your guns, you'd unlock new guns, you'd unlock armor upgrades and perks and all that stuff, kill streaks. They were returning that mode in Modern Warfare. The only problem is everyone who isn't a PlayStation player is going to have to wait, like we said, a literal entire year. It was one thing to have a month. A month took forever, but we all dealt with it rather, whatever. Then a week,
Which is still shitty, but
it was a minor
bad.
annoyance at that point.
I mean, we at this point we have other games to play, so a week's not so bad.
Yeah, and then a year? At that point, we're probably going to have another Destiny expansion, because it's usually fall. We always get one.
Borderlands, regular DLC.
Borderlands
season.
is going to have all their DLC, and Call of Duty Black Ops 5 is already going to be either super close to release or out, because we don't know how early Call of Duty is going to be out now because of Activision wanting to just force everything down people's throats at this point. And it's so obnoxious that they're even doing this, because this is the first Call of Duty to add crossplay. And the fact that they're saying all this now, that they're saying this a whole
after people put in their pre-orders, after they showed gameplay, after the beta, after everyone's starting to actually like the game.
Yep, and then they decided to wedge that little, oh, by the way, in tiny print, by the way, it's like a commercial.
They're going to do that now before launch, so they don't get shit on at launch.
So in tiny little print, they do it just for legal reasons, I'm sure.
Oh,
and it's just like exclusive until October 1st of 2020. No one is going to play it. The only people who are going to play it are the PlayStation people. And everyone was happy that there was going to be crossplay, because I have some friends that are on PlayStation, and vice versa.
Me, for one, I own a PlayStation, and I'm not going to buy it. Because I mostly play on Xbox, but I have a PlayStation for, some of their exclusives.
Yeah.
I was really excited when I saw this. I watched the State of Play the other day. I was mainly watching it for The Last of Us Part 2, because I knew that was going to be in the State of Play, so I was super excited. I watched it. I didn't even know Modern Warfare was going to be in it at all.
Yeah.
I saw it. I saw the story trailer, and I was like, wow, you know what? This story trailer looks really good.
Yeah.
And then they announced the Special Ops, and I was like, man, survival. I haven't played, I remember playing Modern Warfare 3. And, to this day, I remember I used to have a shitty little laptop, and I had, these notepads, and I would write down each wave and what enemies would come on each wave.
Seems about right.
And, I would print it out, and, I would have it up just so, I know, my little kid self when I played, I had a good time, and I was like, oh, that sounds fun. And then Brendan here, he was the one to break the news to me in a party the other night, and, say I'm super sad.
Yeah, I'm super
and it goes
bummed out too.
to the point where, I'm not going to support it. I'm not going to, even though I own a PS4, I'm not going to buy Modern Warfare for a PS4, not only because I'm not going to have anyone to play with, but I just think it's a really shitty decision. As for Xbox, I'm, with survival mode being out, and, I'm guessing it's only going to be campaign and multiplayer, right? Because there's no zombies, I don't think.
Yeah, no, there's
so
no zombies. So you're literally getting two modes.
To me, it's not worth the $60.
No, it's
at
not.
At most $30.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to pay a single penny over $30.
And the amount of people, because I've been looking at a lot of comments and articles about this stuff, the amount of people that just don't care annoys me, because you're basically telling the publishers that are doing these anti-consumer practices that it's okay for them to do, because you're just going to be a mindless potato and just get it anyway.
So many people are like this, especially with sports games.
And that's the problem.
Oh my god! And yeah, the EA did the friggin' NBA 2K20 basketball game having slot machines, and the ESRB being perfectly okay with it.
Nobody cares.
And that's the problem with all these publishers, is that, as bad as it is, these people are still going to buy it. As long as they're making money, nothing's going to change.
And I saw a comment on, I want to say it was Angry Joe's video when he was talking about the exclusivity of survival mode from Modern Warfare, and this comment summed it up perfectly. I'd pull it up, but currently my phone's the one recording with the mic, so I can't. But it was a bunch of quotes, and it was let's make games for fun. Let's make games. Let's make games and make money. Let's make money. That's it. That's how it is.
Let's make money, but also game somewhere in there.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's like 99% money, 1% game, and the DLC is just the actual full game.
Because money is the first thing in their mind, so they try to revolve the whole gameplay mechanics around them making money.
Exactly, because the gaming industry now is so much bigger, and it's not entirely for the better. Because even publishers that we like, or we did like, that were known for making really good games, and this is a perfect segue into
Bethesda.
what we're talking about, Bethesda. Bethesda was legendary. Though their games were riddled with glitches, and some of them were absolutely hilarious, and I'm glad that they haven't. I'm glad that they still haven't patched the giant sending you into the ether.
That's not a glitch. That's a gameplay mechanic.
Yeah, at this point, it is a gameplay mechanic. It's fantastic. But Bethesda, they went from making games that people were like, they were automatically Game of the Year contenders. Like every Elder Scrolls game, Oblivion, and obviously not in this order, but Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, and the Fallout games. They were all
Wolfenstein.
Exactly, Wolfenstein. I know Prey was considered a good game.
Prey, yeah. I played
Doom.
It. I liked
a
it.
lot of people really like Doom.
I always forget they made Doom.
Yeah, I forget it too. But then Borderlands reminds me every time I have my
Doom
like one of
shotgun.
my favorite guns in the game, the Doom shotgun. But Bethesda, they started getting scummy around when Creation Club was made.
Yeah.
And it was really when it was like just before Fallout 4 came out, and like
the
they
50th
announced
release of Skyrim.
Yeah.
Dude.
Although to be fair, I was fine
Skyrim
with that.
for Alexa.
Yeah, I can go
Yeah.
in my room right now and play Skyrim on Alexa.
I want you to
play
get
Skyrim.
I want you to get the Samuel L. Jackson pack and then play Skyrim with Samuel L. Jackson, because that just sounds amazing. But like, I was fine with them re-releasing Skyrim because now we have mods on console, and I'm running around with like 8 Lord of the Rings characters, and we're killing literally everything.
A lot of people gave him shit for it, and Todd Howard came out and I guess it makes sense when Todd Howard says it, but it's like, you tell us to stop doing it, but you guys are buying it.
Exactly.
And so that kind of goes with the publishers things. As long as they're making money, they're going to do it. And at that point, if they're putting all this just to resell it to help them with Elder Scrolls 6, then sure, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
You're all for it now.
I'm all for it now.
6 comes out.
We'll see.
Elder Scrolls 6
how
makes
it
me
goes.
so nervous because the game has the potential to take everything good from a Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim and make it and forge it into this one beautiful creation that we can play for years and years and years, like we already do Skyrim. I still play Skyrim. That game came out 8 years ago? 8 years ago.
Around there.
Around that time. But now, with all the common gaming practices that are around now, whenever the game comes out, I'm sure we're going to have new, fun gaming practices where now it's going to be every bullet costs $1 on your wallet. And it's automatically taken out every time you shoot the gun. Mm-hmm. It makes me nervous because now it's like, do you even get excited for a game when their launch trailer comes out, or do you wait until they tell you everything? Because now it's like major trust issues. Because like you're sitting here, it's like, oh, okay, so you guys are making a new Elder Scrolls game. I'm gonna wait until you guys have the gameplay footage and tell me everything about the game before I even touch it. Because
there's some games I won't even touch until like I see reviews.
Exactly.
Because why spend my money up front?
Yep. The one time I pre-ordered a game, my first pre-order ever was Fallout 4, and I thought it was like going to be the best game ever. At the time, I didn't like it at all, but I
Fallout
eventually...
4 is a weird, because a lot of people didn't like the story, so to speak.
Yeah.
Me, I just always like the exploration and me going off,
the settlement
wandering
system's
the
best.
wasteland.
Yeah, and I love the settlement system.
Another settlement needs your help.
Yeah.
And then them adding mod support only
They had a
made it
lot of
better.
problems with things actually snapping into place.
Well, yeah, that's why you get the Place Anywhere mod, where you can just put it wherever you
Yeah, well, this
Which
was
is what
before
I like.
mods came out.
Yeah, exactly.
At launch.
But the game...
It was annoying.
Yeah, like, everyone realized that the game isn't, like, terrible. It's not as good as New Vegas. New Vegas is still considered the best. 3 is still always going to be my favorite over New Vegas. Just, I don't know, it's the first Fallout game I got into.
Yep.
And a lot of surprisingly personal reasons that I like that game so much. And... like, that's all well and good. But the creation... they first started charging people for mods. And it was a system that was very short-lived, because nobody... like, everyone looked at this and was like...
Well, even you said the other day you were checking the mods on...
Creation Club.
On not only Creation Club, but you said that basically people just took the ones on Creation Club and made their own versions.
Well, yeah,
and
they
just
were
stuck
already
them on there for free.
And my favorite mod, the one that just removes Creation Club from the screen.
Oh yeah, that's a really good mod. But like people were not having it with them trying to charge for mods, and then Bethesda was like, all right, fine, we'll back down, whatever. You win this round. Round 2, Creation Club, and everyone's like, bruh, what? And most of them were already mods that existed that they just made the lesser versions of.
And charged money for it.
Exactly. Like, I want to say I watched a video when Creation Club first came out that did a direct comparison of certain armor sets that people made for mods that Bethesda just straight up put in the Creation Club. And the attention to detail in the modding one, or the modded one, is so much better than the Creation Club one. And the Creation Club one, like you said, is a paywall. It makes no sense to me. And the stuff that they even have on there isn't even that good. Make dog meat go. You can make dog meat turn in from a German Shepherd to a Husky. I already have a mod for that, and he's a Husky right now, and I spent $0 on it. A backpack. Okay, there's a backpack mod. I got it for free. Like, there's no point. The Creation Club is completely pointless.
Yeah.
So then, while that was all going on, and then with Elder Scrolls Online being the exact opposite of what people thought it was going to be, I was one of those guys that was under the impression that it was basically just going to be Skyrim with co-op, and I thought that would have been really cool. I thought it would have been really cool to like run through Nordic ruins together and like kill a bunch of Draugr and then fight the Draugr Deathlord at the end, and you get like, you know, whatever cool gear he gives you and all that stuff. And instead it turned into what it was, and I want to say it had a lot of paywalls as well, and still does for the most part, I believe.
I didn't play it much when it came
I
out.
own it. It's in the other room. But
Yeah, I have it too.
I have it
but,
too. I just don't. I got it for free.
You know,
I think.
every once in a while I put it in, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a shot this time, and then I play it for like an hour, and then
See, every once in a while I
never
just
put
like
it up.
look at the case, and I'm like, maybe next time.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Well, then-
that and Battleborn I look at a lot.
Rip
Like,
What game?
Battleborn, dude.
Battleborn.
What game?
Yeah.
You mean that game that
Yeah.
came out like
You mean Paladin?
a second before Overwatch did, and then Overwatch came in and basically just Thanos snapped it
Yeah.
like out of existence,
Yep.
and Overwatch somehow
Which was sad
still won
because
Game
I
of the
really
Year.
enjoyed Battleborn at launch. But at the same time, they didn't do anything to.
I played some like steampunk robot with a trench coat or something like that. He had like an owl with him. I don't know.
Yeah, I forget his name.
But
He had a golden gun.
yeah, and then with Elder Scrolls Online already being a major blunder, especially when the game came out, Angry Joe agrees as well because he hated that game too.
Pretty much everyone. Well, not everyone, because
no,
people
so-
stuck around.
Yeah,
and-
they do have a dedicated fan base.
Yeah.
Creation Club was another strike, and then them trying to charge for mods. So it was like the beta version of Creation Club for the most part.
Yeah.
Then Fallout 76 was a
Ooh,
thing,
That masterpiece.
and the fact that that game was once again, as the common theme in this episode here, unfinished. It was rushed to all hell, and now instead of trying to when people saw like the advertisements for it before they even released the actual launch trailer, when it was multiple vault boys getting out of a vault, everyone was like, no way, Fallout with multiplayer. What? Absolutely down for it.
I think another one
potential.
one of the bigger things now is that Bethesda's first E3 was only a couple years ago, and that's when they announced Fallout 4, and they were like, before we didn't do E3 because we didn't really have anything to announce, and now they're like, we felt like this was the right year, but every year since then they keep doing these E3s, and they have like next to nothing to show.
Yep.
But they keep doing it.
Yep.
And I think it was like when Fallout 4 came, and they were like, "Wow, we're doing good. We're making money. The people like it. They probably got like the adrenaline rush of, having all these fans be excited for their game." Which I get.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's good to not, not only not go every year, but keep to yourselves. Look at Naughty Dog.
Mm-hmm.
Like
they.
Their first trailer for The Last of Us was 2 years ago, and we've heard one thing since then. And now we're getting the release date as of like the beginning of this week.
Yeah, it's coming out in February.
It's coming out in February, but yeah,
it's
saying they're announcing it the beginning of this week.
it's good. It's that's fine. But
Bethesda's now pumping out these projects like Wolfenstein. Like I hear like
oh yeah, I heard that game
the
was
Wolfenstein. There's like
not
a
that
new one.
great
I don't
either.
think it's like a core game in the
Youngblood.
series. I think it's like a
a
side.
It's like the main character.
But I heard it wasn't that good.
No,
Rage 2.
Rage 2. Nobody
Doom
liked
2.
Rage 1.
I didn't really play Doom. I own it. I didn't really get into it. It sounds cool.
Like it's kind of fun every.
But
now
I'm
and
sure.
then
Doom's got its own fan base that goes way back, and so Doom Eternal, I'm I think it's going to be pretty solid.
Hopefully.
But then they have all those side projects that are just like, I feel like they're just pumping out so they have something to show at these E3 conferences.
And
where it's like you don't have to go.
And then not to mention the fact that they literally have their own dumpster fire to work on right now. And as much as I don't like the game, No Man's Sky, the developers at Happy Games or whatever, they were silent. I mean, a lot of people weren't happy that they were silent, but they were, because they cracked down on all of their problems, eventually re-released the game, and now people actually really like it. Maybe if Bethesda just kept their mouth shut and decided to actually fix Fallout 76, because I mean, you and I played it like pretty much like first week it came out, and we were having fun with it. I luckily somehow got a God copy and didn't get any glitches at all whatsoever, so I thought the game was remarkably good.
Oh yeah, we would go to the golf course.
And and we were like farming with people.
Yeah, overpower. I'm trying to convince overpower and power level together.
Oh, so like, well, yeah, we were using like
because
farming
everything was like
methods.
extremely over leveled, but you know, if you had enough people and enough rocket launchers.
Yeah, we basically just sat on like that little ledge.
On that
and was,
little
like,
ledge
mowing
where
down,
Deathclaws
like,
couldn't get you.
Yeah, using like pull cues and friggin'
and they would spawn in
baseball
every
bats
fucking
and
30 seconds.
Yeah, and they were all like, yeah, like you said, extremely high, and they would legendaries and all that. And, you know, all that stuff. It was fun, but then like, eventually, you know, we all moved on. You moved on before I did, and I just it was boring without another person to play with. And then I was like, you know what, maybe I'll come back to it later, whatever. And by come back to it, I mean buy it again or get it when it's free at some point, because I sold it so fast. I sold it so fast, right?
The last thing I did in that game was the Scorch Beast or something like that. It was in the irradiated zone. It was like this huge
yeah, that was a super cool thing. It was that giant public event we did, and I want to say we did it with Guilt too. Yeah, because it was the three of us and like ridiculous amounts of players fighting a giant like monster. It was super cool.
Yep.
And like there was like a radiation storm coming in, so you could barely see it through the smoke. It was like super.
You had to make
cool.
sure you were stocked up on power cores, because
I didn't even have power armor, so like I just kind of ran
the only
around.
way you were living is if you had some kind of radiation.
Yeah, it was a really fun time.
Radiation or just a suit of power armor.
And while we were under the impression that they were probably gonna, you know, add a bunch of bug fixes and all that stuff, aside from the canvas bag being actually a nylon bag, and then the new controversy that came out like literally yesterday. To be fair, it's not really Bethesda's fault. The whole mold and the Fallout power armor helmet or whatever.
Yeah.
It's nothing they can really control. So to be fair, that's really not on them. But. But like, instead of fixing their goddamn game, they instead basically just grabbed an entire canister of gasoline and threw it into the fire and watched it just get even higher because they made a battle royale.
I was going to say, and they added a battle royale.
There's no point. You should have just fixed the game and then worked on the extra stuff down the road. Okay? That's all you had to do, was just fix the core game. That's all really anyone has to do. Fix the core game, or release a core game that isn't entirely riddled with bugs to the point where it can be borderline unplayable or delete characters or anything like that. And just work on the extra stuff when you've earned it. They're basically just, hey, let me just, you know, because Fire is a perfect example of just everything that's been going on. So it's like, you see this dumpster fire right here. It's the base game of Fallout 76, and they're like, "Wow, it looks pretty big. Let's see. Let's move away a little bit. It's kind of hot." Then we make another dumpster fire at Battle Royale. Just let it sit there. All right, good. And then Activision's like, "Yeah, we'll just dumpster fire this and this." EA's over here like, "Let me murder a couple studios and then just burn the whole house down, and then just sit there and play in its ashes and call it money." Because that's what they're doing. They're getting rich off of surprise mechanics and the ashes of dead studios that they've killed in the previous years. Publishers are terrible. But then again, we need them because they're going to pump money into games. Yep. And every now and then, you're going to get a gemstone in the pile of shit right now that is the gaming industry. And you're going to have gems like Borderlands 3. You're going to have gems like Gears of War 5. You're going to have gems like... you know, Destiny 2 has been increasingly just getting better and better and better as it keeps going, and I still love the
But
game.
now, there's no big publisher there.
So now, if there are actually problems in terms of Destiny, we can only blame Bungie,
Yep.
which, like we said in our previous video, nobody wants to blame Bungie for anything.
Wow.
I don't want to blame.
Some of the things I blame them for.
I know. I don't want to blame.
Crucible.
I
But
don't wanna
Bungie
blame
is
Bungie.
a lot better than most developers in the sense that
Well, very
they
clearly.
keep us updated. They know,
Yes.
you know, they
Yeah.
do
And
the
if-
weekly This
Yeah.
Week at Bungie, the TWAB.
Yep.
For
and
sure.
if they didn't care about Destiny, they would have
And they
stayed
do
with
the
Activision.
Vidocs.
They
you
would
know,
have stayed.
You know,
Yeah.
you can tell they care.
the roadmaps.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to try and quote unquote care now
Yeah.
when it's been a little while, and like Destiny 1 was in a really good spot when it ended,
Yeah.
and they should have just kept it. Like we don't know, because Bungie never came out saying that Destiny 2 was rushed or anything like that, right? So like we don't know if it was rushed or
Not that I know of.
lacked content on just because.
I just know that at launch, Destiny 2, because Activision was in the picture, that Activision wanted Destiny 2 to be a game where it was the main focus was on, you know, everyone. Like they wanted everybody involved in Destiny 2.
Yeah.
They wanted it to be widespread so that anybody could get into it, because the more people that got into it, the more money they were going to make off the microtransactions.
Exactly, and while
Catered
But
to
Bungie-
casuals.
I just wish they catered way
Yeah.
too. They catered way too much to casuals.
that
'cause-
was the problem, because that was their main focus.
Yeah.
But now that Bungie, you know, since Bungie's broke up with Activision, you know, they came out and said that, you know, that was their main focus was before on casuals, but you know, they weren't focusing enough on the hardcore players that have been with Destiny.
Didn't they
for
say
so
that in
long.
the Shadowkeep Vidoc too?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
too long ago.
People who
Long
have
ago?
been playing the game all these years.
Yeah, like they're gonna be like, oh, I was there when, like,
Yeah.
and you know, I still wonder if that Guardian that you found way back in like the first Moon mission, I wonder if he's still there. That
Who knows?
right when the "We've woken the hive" iconic line is said, but
Because you can cater to the casuals and piss everybody off,
or you can
even
do
the
a little bit of
hardcores,
both.
or you know, the people who aren't going to play it, you know, the players who are really invested, who actually play the game off and on again, the people
Yeah.
who, you know, are the
Do
ones
all
talking
your
about your game, the
activities.
ones that are on YouTube doing,
Yeah.
you know, the ones that are going to your studios giving you guys information, you know, that's your audience. I think that's who you need to,
Yeah.
you know.
Or they honestly could just do what Gears of War 5 did and basically just have a separate thing in the corner of what you've missed in Gears of War and give you all the key moments that you need to know, because the story doesn't tell you anything.
Yeah.
Like, it's basically, if you're a fan of the series, you know exactly what we're talking
And
about, and if you're not, then you are going
For
to be completely
Shadowkeep,
confused.
New Light is a new feature.
Yeah,
that
New Light, that's good. It's kind of like what
you know,
you've missed.
Exactly, it's like a what you've missed, and you know, you get all the, like the base storylines and the DLC, and then you're just, you know, I think you have to pay for like the raids if you wanna, like if that's
Yeah,
something
it's
you want
the
to
more
invest in.
premium content stuff,
But you know, it's
get the bulk of the
it's
story.
way more than enough
Yeah.
to get you to be able to know if you actually want to purchase this other content or not.
Exactly. So, you know, the point of all this is that you can make really good games nowadays without doing all these garbage business practices that publishing companies, you know,
Have
are
been
doing, and they've been doing it for like years
Oh, yeah.
now. But unfortunately, like Dado has said before, like the fear of missing out, and you know, all that stuff. It causes people to buy. It's all psychological. It's
Yeah.
They purposely, and they were questioned too. EA and I want to say King, the guys who make
Candy Crush.
Candy Crush, yeah.
Yeah.
They were questioned and were like, do you guys hire people to specifically, I forget the term. It was like to basically lure people in to buy your microtransactions. They basically said yes. Like, it's 100% the case. You hire people for like your marketing department that are like, okay, so here is what you should do. And this is why you should do it, because people will get invested if you do this. And then right when they do it, people, like because that's their job. They're supposed to assess their market and then just take the stuff that they know people will like That's why every single game now is always like, no microtransactions, guys, in the first
And
like
it's
month,
sad.
and everyone's like, yeah, I'll buy it. And
It's
then right
sad
when
when
they
I
buy
watch
it,
an E3 press
Exactly.
conference and, you know, the things that hypes everyone up is no loot chests, no microtransactions. I'm like, it shouldn't have to be to that point where they have to announce that before the game comes out for people to get excited.
Yep, and the sad part is, a month later, after, you know, everything's all said and done, they've already made most of their sales, the reviews are out, everything's, you know, pretty positive. They're like, alright, is the coast clear, guys? Alright, let's go. Loot boxes here, paywall here, camos over here. We're gonna have $20 skins over there. Haha, lock the actual game off and DLC content right over there. And then the game just becomes a goddamn cash cow, and it's the whole games as a service thing, which has only worked for Destiny, and what else has worked as a games as a service? Like, because really, not really many of them have. Like, yeah, Destiny just keeps going and somehow doesn't die and gets a committed fan base, and we end
And it's
up
going to
all
be even
loving
better
it,
with
and-
Shadowkeep.
Exactly.
With the
Well, we
transitioning
hope for
between
it, yeah.
the seasons.
Yeah.
Or so they say. You know,
We'll see.
only time will tell.
Yeah,
But
it's
I'm
just,
hopeful.
It's just I hope one day gaming is a lot better than it is now for the most part, because now it's like every day, you know, you see a video from Inside Gaming or IGN or Angry Joe or any of the guys that are, you know, the whole news outlets for gaming, and all of a sudden it's like you flip a coin. All right, who's going to be on the news this time around for garbage business practices? Oh, it's the EA or Activision, or is it Bethesda, or is it Take-Two Interactive, or is it like just so on and so forth? And it's so frustrating because now it's not like you can't really get excited for a game anymore. It's more cautious optimism. That's all it is. It's like, wow, a new COD game, cautiously optimistic, and then stuff like this happens. Then it ruins the whole vibe. And hopefully one day we're all back to everyone loving games, and
Would be nice.
something
But
like that.
it'd
But
I'd be lying if I
nice.
said I wasn't worried.
yeah. And
Because not only like the
Yeah.
new games, but you know, falling back to Activision for a second, Crash Team Racing,
oh yeah,
which is a franchise that they brought back from the '90s. Crash Bandicoot was a racing game, almost kind of like Mario Kart. They brought that back, published by Activision, and I believe Beanox was the developer. And microtransactions.
Yep. I remember. I just saw that
And
recently.
that baffled my mind. They brought a franchise back from the '90s and put microtransactions in it.
Yep. I don't know if you heard that, but like basically you can't customize your characters anymore without spending real money.
Wow.
On it. Yeah.
That's
it's
great.
It's
Great
ridiculous. So yeah, the closing statements. Hopefully, you know, like we said, we don't want games to be just a literal money-making machine. We want at least some art and some effort being put into it. And you have developers that
I mean,
do
I want
that.
them to be money makers, but
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but you don't want
Not
them in the way that they are now.
exclusively.
yeah,
Yeah, you want it to be like, for the most part,
because
how,
it's a good game.
yeah, you want it to be like how Microsoft was with Halo, where it's like, yes, keep making money, keep doing what you're doing,
Yes.
because it's doing something right.
Make
and
money
it's
to
putting
expand
money
your
in-
future
yeah,
projects.
and it's putting money in our wallet. So you just keep going. Studio interference can kill a game. We've seen it time and time again. I mean, Mass Effect Andromeda, friggin' Dead Space 3, Anthem, those 3 games alone. Battlefield Hardline, I'm pretty sure. Battlefield 5, because it's just a goddamn mess. Black Ops 4 has studio interference. And Modern Warfare is now getting this exclusive stuff. And then now Treyarch is coming out with another COD game. Instead of 3 years from now,
probably be the same.
it'll
along with
probably
Black
be
Ops,
the same,
Whatever
yeah.
the next Treyarch game's going to be.
yeah. So hopefully it all changes. But thank you guys so much for joining us on our second episode of Golden Age of Gaming. Spooky month is just upon us. It's coming. I'm super excited.
Big spook.
Big spooky, which means
Starting with Shadowkeep, Moon's Haunted.
yeah, Moon's Haunted. We're going to be talking about some horror games that we really like. We were thinking we're definitely going to cover Dead Space. Dead Space 2 primarily, because it's just one of my all-time favorite horror games, and rest in peace, Visceral. But we also, I wouldn't mind talking about Outlast, because Outlast is a pretty awesome one too. And we'll be talking about a lot more topics as well. If you guys like what you saw here, you guys can, like, comment, subscribe. You can also send us, anything that you guys think we should talk about. We'll definitely take a look at it and see what's going on. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you, Tyler, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And we will see you guys later. Peace out, guys.
See ya.